Yeah, I do.
Is that? I 1 2 1 2. Oh yeah, so they can't hear us. Okay, cool.
Everybody else.
I just had to cut us down from being on the air. All right. Um, Let me just share this on the page. If you are on the live already, share this on your page as well. You can hear
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn my phone down so you don't get that delay. All right. Just let us know if you can't hear us, what have you. But we are trying some new things today, as you can see. But we're just gonna wing it. I don't have headphones, so I don't know a lot of times if the audio has gone out or anything like that. But we are also waiting for our guest Walisha to come into the building. But thank you guys for tapping in to another episode of Good Friday. We got my man. Goodlife Russ is in the building, man. What's going on? What's up with it, man?
It feels good to be in here.
Yeah, you decided to come in today. You know what I'm saying? You're not on location from Bedside
Man,
Baptist.
listen, it's hard to work from home. That's one of the hardest things I find to do.
Bruh,
I love the energy and the atmosphere in here, so this is dope.
That's why I don't like working from home either, because I don't like to speak ADHD on me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I know that that's the problem, and I'll find 50 million other things to do than the thing that I set out to do for this particular day. So
yeah, I find myself doing that a lot too.
Yeah, man. If you are tuned in, tapped in right now, if you can hear us, we're going to need, because we don't have headphones today, we're going to need you guys to really let us know if the sound goes out or anything like that. But this is the all new Good Friday, Delayne Love Morning Show, and we appreciate everybody for tapping in right now. For those who don't know the history of the Good Friday show, it was something that we did about a year ago to continue mental health amongst African Americans. And Tim has been very instrumental and influential in the community and providing different perspectives on the traditional way that we've been doing things and dealing with things as African Americans, and offering new ideas. Some people open to it. Some people think sometimes he's a little too radical, but Tim don't care. Regardless, he speaks his truth, and this is one of the things that we appreciate. We have formed a kindred spirit and almost a brotherhood to really, and I tell you, in these past 10 shows, we don't always agree on everything. You know what I'm saying? But we come to the center before the show ends and really look to understand. So during the course of the show, you'll see his opinion, my opinion, Walisha's opinion, and sometimes there's friction, but we all make it a point to listen and hear each other out before the end of the show. It's not one of the debates where he won, I lost this week, she won. It's never that. It's just basically, let's see how we can form a consensus and come to some sort of understanding or agree to disagree. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I love about this show. But, man, what's been going on with you in the day in the life of Tim Russ?
Man, life.
Life been lifing.
I was thinking about something on the way here along the lines of that, and just how our seasons have to go hand in hand. You know, sometimes we can identify it's time to rest,
yes,
but our soul, our spirit can't rest. And I believe it's because when we were working, we weren't working to the full extent that we can work.
Absolutely.
We didn't leave everything out there and give everything we got. You know what I mean? So I think about that. I'm in my rest period right now, and that changes each time I rest. Each time I just kind of dial it back a little bit. I'm still being active. I'm still doing events, which I'm about to get to the season where I'm slowing that down because I just need to give my body time to recharge. So right now, I'm just identifying like it's been a good year.
Yeah.
It's been a really good year. You know, I've been really grateful as of late just for my support system because I well got to the point a long time ago, and I realized like I can't do all this by myself. You know what I mean? I want to do a lot of stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna need help.
Well, that's the game that I've been learning is that you don't know everything. A lot of things don't come through self study or self analysis. Sometimes you do that need that enlightenment or that guidance or wisdom from somebody who sees it from a different perspective. So this is where that point is. No man is an island. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You have to incorporate help. You know what I'm saying to get
Yeah.
you to that next level.
And that help challenges us too. You know, sometimes I think we take that out of context. And I think that's the beauty of what our show provides to the public. Like, we're just giving y'all context. Even when I have an idea on here, that doesn't mean I'm just set on that idea.
Sure.
That's just what makes the most sense right now. And when we come out on pod, when we do radios, you have to listen to these things with context. You have to understand we're just giving our perspective. We're not telling you what you should do. We're not shaming you for your life. We're bringing into the conversation something that wasn't acknowledged before, something that we have to always acknowledge. So to us, it's just fair that this is in the world. We all should experience this. And I always get both sides in anything I've ever said. Some people like it, some people don't. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying it to be liked. I'm saying it to open up an opportunity in your mind, because now if you just sit and think on this, your mind is going to wander and think on other things. So this is good. You're starting to create that network in your mind. And a lot of people's minds stagnant because they only got to think about 3 things every day. You know what I mean? And I think about hundreds of thousands of things every day. You know, I love thinking. I love challenging myself. I love thinking about, okay, how can the world be better? You know what I mean? And to me, that is a righteous path because I know the destruction I did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So for me now to choose you know what I mean, a less destructive way, like to me, that is being righteous. That's being good to yourself.
Man, and the thing is that of course with that growth, you have to understand that you know that path isn't a smooth, straight path. That thing curves and goes in circles. So a lot of times, you know, it's not even allowing yourself grace. Sometimes it really is. All right, man, this wasn't the direction that I wanted to go in. I got distracted here or whatever. But you don't dwell in that. And this is why we were saying before we got on the air. A lot of times now, especially since I'm so close to the goal, it's like, you know, I'm here with it. I'm like, I mean, Smart said, I'm here with it. I don't have rear view mirrors anymore. You know what I'm saying? Spaceships don't come equipped with rear view mirrors.
Exactly.
They did. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Andre 3000 because the more you get me to stay back in the past, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, I gotta move. And I don't know how long the creator is going to keep me on this earth, so I don't like to say I don't have a whole lot of time. Hell, I could be around until I'm 100 years old.
Exactly.
I don't know if I want to be, but you know.
Exactly. That's rough.
I don't know if I want to be, but I could be around until I'm 100 years old. So when I say I don't have enough time, it's people, and this is one thing that when people say that's a tragedy what happened to Michael Jackson, that's a tragedy what happened to Prince.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
they wouldn't look at it that way.
You know, and the reason why I say that is like they lived 10 lifetimes.
Exactly, maybe more.
Jay-Z and Beyonce is living 10 lifetimes.
Yeah,
they've seen France. A lot of people haven't seen France, Cuba, Colombia. There are certain people that are living right now that haven't seen past their block, past their neighborhood. There are people in Brooklyn right now that haven't seen the outside of Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's their world. That's what they limit their world to. You know what I'm saying? So when people say, oh my God, they died at 35 or 40, did they live?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But this is what I'm saying is that this is why you have to keep moving forward. There's so much to see. There's so much to do. You know what I'm saying? Now, if that's not you, then that's okay. But I want to see a lot of stuff before I get out of here.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I do too. And that's what I was talking about off air as far as when J. Cole said, like, you just have to be delusional. You know what I mean? You have to come at it like, I want to do everything. Yeah. But then you'll rationalize like, okay, I ain't gonna be able to do everything. I ain't gonna be able to see every city and try everybody's food. Like, and then to me, what magic is saying like, but I'm gonna try anyway. I'm gonna do it anyway.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
You know what I mean? And that's the magic. That's what it is. And the importance of that, the importance of manifesting is not just what you speak and what you see. Is You know what I mean? Like my boy Moneybag say, like you gotta stand 10 toes down on business. Like, and this is manifesting. This is why it's so important. This is why it's so powerful. This is why I constantly build a relationship with myself. Because I don't just speak something. If I'm not ready to heal, I just don't talk. That's my period to be silent.
Man.
But if I'm ready to heal, I'm like, okay, I need to start waking up at 7 a.m., get my day started early so I can go to the gym. The only important part of this part is me getting up at 7 a.m. That's me standing on business. So it doesn't have to look a certain way. If I have to cut out going to the club, if I have to cut out long conversations with friends, if I got to cut out the video game, that's what I have to sacrifice. That's the key that's going to get me to the next level. You dig what I'm saying? I have to give up those things because they don't serve me at the next level. I can go watch people at the next level. They aren't doing those things.
Right.
So you can like it or hate it, but it is what it is. They're showing you what it is. That's communication. That's why I consider myself intelligent, because I can watch that interaction with someone and I can learn. I don't have to anymore go up to them, ask 100 questions, you feel me? But I've sacrificed. I've paid my rite of passage. When I was a kid, I questioned everything. Right. I would just sit with someone for hours just asking them questions about just random shit, just a question no one ever answered for me. Like, yo, what you think about this? So it led me to a point of realizing I'm taking a lot of daytime. That 5 hours it took me in a day took your 5 hours.
Yeah.
So the best thing I can do for Delayne is go see about it on my own, go research it on my own. So now you got your 5 hours, I got my 5 hours, and we come together, we still got that union. I got the answers now. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to bug you with this. I can ask you, yo, how's your day been? How's your life going? We can get to the important thing, the priority. But I can't decide because this is priority for the group. Lane's journey isn't priority for him. See, that's a higher understanding of who you're dealing with. And to me, that's real love and caring about somebody. Yeah. It's saying, you know what, I am hurt right now. I can take his ear, but you probably had a long day. So I ain't even going to bug you with it. You know what I mean? You go be great. You don't just lay all your stuff on them because you realize they got a life too. And life is hard for everybody.
And timing is everything. Timing is everything. You know, people, as I grow older, I realize that they don't know the art of strategy.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to communication. There is a strategy, even when it comes to communication. A lot of times, you know, this is why I hate that term. Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself.
Yeah.
Like, in certain arenas and areas, it's not okay to be yourself.
Yeah, not at all.
You know, and I know coming from me and Tim, that sounds absurd. Like, because you guys view us as ourselves most of the time. And I think I won't speak for Tim, but when it comes to me, I won't let no one take me from me, right? Mm-hmm. But I do know that in certain areas I have to turn things off. I'm still me. It's just that I'm strategically communicating with, you know, the environment that I may want to sell, manipulate, or you know, come together, join with, you know what I'm saying, or at least understand. So I have to be strategic. I have to read the room. And a lot of people, when it comes to their communication, they don't read the room, so they wonder why they get marginalized. They wonder why, you know, and some people like 50, they don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
50 Cent does not care. And if you're gonna be like that, I would say just stand on it. You can't have it both ways. If you're gonna be like that, when the fire comes, you have to have that same shield and that same tough skin. And 50 gets it.
Yeah.
50 definitely gets it.
You gonna play the game, you gotta play the game.
You gotta play the game, but you can't pick and choose when you want to play this game. So,
you
know, a lot of times I do strategically understand, but going back to what he said, when it comes to timing, when you want something even out of yourself, you have to understand timing. When you want something from someone else, you have to analyze. If I want to lay something heavy on Tim, hey, have the mental capacity.
Exactly.
It's like I came in today, and I can't help it. I talk. I came in today. I said, Tim, I'm a little heavy. And my brother said, "Oh, let's go." You know what I'm saying? But I need people. I need people. Like, are you heavy today? What can I do to fight this load?
Absolutely, and I think it's why we all have to heal simultaneously, because I agree a lot of people don't have that, and I can also see the two-way street in that too. A lot of us weren't taught how to receive that. You know what I mean? So a lot of us, kind of make that go, not make that, but we create the opportunity for that to go numb in each other. You know what I mean? Like, because we still got to protect our own peace at all times. That's the big irony of all of this. I get why spirituality is ironic, you know what I mean? But to me, that's why it makes the most sense, because it doesn't have to make sense. Right. It's a feeling, you know, and can't nobody tell you what you feel. No. You dig? If I feel low today, I feel low today. And this is why I say I don't conform for myself personally, because I can go be an actor. I can go sign that big contract. And if I'm feeling low today, you know what I mean? Like, but I signed this contract that I got to work today. They don't care how I feel. Right. And I understand why they don't. I'm not upset about that. I understand. They're paying the money. This is their time, I get it. You feel me? If I was the one footing the bill, you would need to be here Friday. I get it. Right. So this is why I reverse engineer my life. And now I have friends who are in those positions. I can still be a homie. I don't have to agree with it, but I don't have to discredit it either. Right. I don't have to, you know, have prejudice about it either. I can just disagree. And when that world opened up to me, I was like, oh, because I used to, when I was younger, I take everything personally because I overanalyze what's being said. You know what I mean? And this is something that was taught to me. It was instilled in me. It made sense to day one. It still makes sense to this day. It's why I enter every conversation strategically. You know what I mean? It's why a person, like, when you talking to them a certain way, they're like, oh, you playing chess. And I'm like, yeah, you must not play often. Because two people playing in New York Park don't sit and talk about it. They don't talk at all. They just sit and play chess. They commute. That's a form of communication. So I'm speaking to you in this way to see who I'm attracting. Because I'm only going to attract somebody that's going to sit down and play the game with me.
Let's talk about that for a second.
You dig?
When we first started, you and I, our dialogue was very cordial.
Yeah.
Our dialogue was very cordial. And I want to help some people because we look at certain families and brothers and things of that nature, and they are cussing each other out, and you better not say nothing to them while they're going through that, because what you don't understand is that's their love language. A lot of people have a negative connotation when they see family members cussing each other out, but they love one another. But that's kind of the trust and the safe space that they built for themselves. Going back to you and I. Started out very cordial, and then towards something broke, and we was like, you know what? We are two peas in a pod, but we still have different perspectives on things. Mm-hmm. So then the dialogue became more aggressive. The dialogue became, no, you know what I'm saying? Explain, how do you build that with somebody? You know what I'm saying? How do you strategically build that safe space? Say, I can express myself in this way, and we can walk away with a good energy after.
To me, I would say it's definitely the trust, you know, and this is why relationships take time, because trust has to be built. It's easily torn down, but it has to be built, you know what I mean, whether you like it or not. And that's why I'm like that in the beginning. I come into situations beginning just with an open mind. I'm not really pushing my agenda. I'm not pushing my lifestyle on people, just an open mind, because I have to be able to listen. I got to be able to feel out, you know what I mean? And with you, I already knew it was going to blossom into something again, because I already had that pre-conversation. I already knew something about you that was similar to me. So I was like, all right, we're going to be able to connect on that front.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was a person I trust that told me. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm coming into this with a good, clear mind. And I think, too, we both, this to me is what people would call fate. This is the universe. I think we both were running to a point where we needed the opposition of what we have. Because on my pod, I've had like 6 co-hosts. You know what I mean? Great hosts, great. And most of them were like new into pod and radio. So they did amazing, like, you know what I mean, considered. But we just didn't have that chemistry. And for me, again, that's that feeling. It got to be right. Or I can't do it. I just can't. And it ain't no hard feelings. I don't think anybody did a bad job. I just can't do it. If things are different in the future, I would try it again. But in that moment, you know what I mean? So when we hit that first, what they would consider a wall, you know what I mean? That to me is communication. That's the conversation you should be having with yourself, saying, I just haven't experienced this yet. Not thinking you're certain about what's going on, because we've all been there. Yeah. I was a young person. I was there. That same analogy you used, I used to have that all the time. I was young. I didn't understand relationships at all. So I see a 70-year-old couple and they arguing in a park, and I'm like, they probably hate each other. And it's because I had never experienced a long-term relationship, so I don't know what it's like. And then when I got in one, I'm like, oh no, they love each other. They've been in the trenches. They've been through war together. They've seen each other wounded. They've seen each other at their best. They've seen each other broke. You dig what I'm saying? They've seen each other, no friends, a lot of friends, family, no family. Like they've seen it all. So they've built a trust that I can speak to you in a way that you're not going to take what I'm saying personally, but also I'm going to articulate in a way that I'm trying not to offend you as well. You know what I mean? But there still has to be a line to where I have to say some things the way I have to say it. And like we say, you got to stay 10 toes on that. This is, to me, where people run into a lot of issues in their life. The way you talk to your kids is not the way you talk to your boss or your relationship or your friends. That's the problem. You got to stay 10 toes. So if you're going to be a person who protects your peace, you got to protect it against everybody. You can't create this group of people that it's okay for them to walk all over you like a doormat. No one gets to walk all over you. That's why this is so hard, because you're going to have people you love, you want to let that guard down for. But no, in my life, everyone has to walk through that real detector. And if it beats, you get tossed out, straight up. I'm not asking questions. We're not taking you in the back. Check your passport. You getting tossed out. Like, you can't come in. I'm to that point in my life because I've let so many people go through. I've ignored the beat. I've did that. I've experienced that. Yeah. You dig what I'm saying? So that's the best thing we can do. That's why I implore these teens, these 20-year-olds, like, go explore. Go find yourself. Go lose yourself. Go make some money. Go lose some money. Go make some good decisions. Go make some bad decisions. But let them be your decisions. Yeah. And us doing this a year now, you know what I mean? This is constantly our choice to come in here. This is why I don't want the money, the contract to back me. I want to choose the one to come into my show. I don't want to say I'm coming in. They paid me today. Oh, we going in. We good today. Yeah. Nah, because then that's always going to be your driving force to bring you into the show. I want to live in there. Yeah. But that comes with now the duality. That comes with the responsibility sometimes. This is why parenting's so hard, because now you got to answer to your kid. Yo, you've been working a little long this week. And I've dealt with that with all of my older kids that can understand. Last week, we kicked it. This week, it seemed like you've been busy.
I wish you were in that studio on Tuesday, because you articulated that so much better than I. When I was in front of City, I was telling him, although, I mean, so for those who watched the interview with City and myself.
Yeah, that was good. Fire. Good job.
He had basically said, nobody had knew this truth, that the All Night City show was my show. It was offered to me first. But as he had disclosed, that I was so religious minded that I was getting a lot of pressure and a lot of people's ears saying, you can't do that. So I passed it up and just saying, yo, what are you doing? And I said, you know what? Even in hindsight, I wish I had her. This was the path for me, because everything that I've done going forward was unbridled. It was all me. You know what I'm saying? And I wish you had said it. I wish I could have used your words, because it looked like, or it sounded like, he was a bridled person, or he was constrained to the machine. And the City, he bucks the machine a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. But he has a brand outside the machine, though.
Yeah, he has a brand outside the machine. Yeah. But for me, the pure, unadulterated, unapologetic me on this microphone, it couldn't exist on terrestrial radio.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So your path is your path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And this is why we need Village. This is why you need a City and City needed you. You dig what I'm saying? Because imagine his life if you would have took that role. And that's why I say truly caring about somebody is really thinking about how this is going to affect everybody, my choices. To me, that is no different than parenting. We should be taking all these philosophies and stacking them on top of each other. The way I treat my brother is how I should treat my wife. It's how I should treat my son. It's how I should treat my daughter. It's how I should treat my mother and my father. You dig what I'm saying? And there will be times we have to put boundaries on those relationships. I'm also not saying be naive. You dig? But this is where, again, our paths constantly meet. But when we meet, we butt heads. Religious people and spiritual people can both agree you need discernment. Discernment is a very important part of this life.
Yeah. I mean? Adrian, can you hear me now? I wanna do a test. Adrian, if you can, just go ahead and tap in. I did turn my mic up just a little bit. So if you can, let me know if you can hear me.
I can, it sounds decent.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
But no, I was just saying discernment is a big part of our life. You know what I mean? And I think that's what makes it easier for us to make multiple choices when we're comfortable with our discernment. We're comfortable with our ability to make choices. So again, we know all of us were behind the eight ball. That's what I talk about constantly. They taught us in school how to, do A, B, C, D problems, but they didn't teach us how to solve life problems. So we're not good problem solvers in that aspect.
Right.
But we've created this ego because we were so good at the system. We were so good at going to get the job, going to get the apartment, keeping ourselves fresh, getting a haircut. You know what I mean? So people used to think I was against them, but I went against those things because I'm against the system, because the system is promoting you to not think. It's programming you to think. You know what I mean? This person gets to think for me. Like, and that's a dangerous mindset because I don't know who you're around.
Yeah.
I don't know who listens to you. I don't know how many people are hearing this. So that's why I'm like, okay, let's heal. Because now as I'm healing, I'm realizing sometimes I shouldn't speak because people are listening. And it's not because what I'm saying is so detrimental to me, but it might trigger them. It might shatter them. It might, you know what I mean? You get upset, run outside, Santa Claus ain't real, and it's just a little kid like, huh? And instantly, what do people do? They feel bad.
Yeah.
So you
told the truth, but you damaged somebody.
You healing is not having to do it to feel bad about it, because you know you're going to feel bad about it. And being upset is not a justification to do it. So these are the reasons we heal. We become better people. We start changing who we are. So then I don't have to ask for a better relationship. I only attract people we're going to be in this type of relationship with each other. This is the standard. This isn't a good for us. This is the standard. We got to work to good. You know what I mean? You never start anywhere off just at good. And I think that's another thing that helped our show at. We started and knew. We came in with our picks. We came in with our hard hats like we got to get to work. We didn't come in here like, oh, look at this new show. We get to inherit. Like, no, we got to build it.
and when you're building something, you and I have both went through similar things, and I want to refer to what's going on in pop culture right now. When you start building your team, building your vision, because certain people don't understand your vision, they'll say, "Oh, you used me. You did this, you did that." I'm like, no. Or they'll say, "Well, you did some unethical things in the beginning, and now you're trying to prove to the world like you're this super guy or this, and the other." And it's like, and I think everybody knows what I'm getting ready to refer to. Sean Puffy Combs made a lot of young boy decisions.
Yeah.
When you're in your 20s, there's a lot of testosterone going on. You may be smart. I've seen the smartest 20-some-year-olds who are here, but that testosterone battle, that macho battle, you have a lot of energy to get out, so you can be entangled in a lot of conflict, a lot of beef, and things of that nature. When you're just pretty much trying to live just like the next man, but you're still confused about how to channel that anger, how to channel that energy. So now that his past is being brought back up, it's almost like that Denzel thing. It's like every time I try to move forward, the worst thing that you could do is bring up somebody's past. Now, if it does so happen that he had something to do with, the passing of Tupac Shakur, this man has now evolved, and he calls himself Brother Love now. You know what I'm saying? And I know that 50 and everybody else is like, okay, come on, Brother Love. Now, even it's been in the news that he's been giving people their publishing back, and all that good stuff, which is awesome. But they still want to paint horns on Puffy, and I can see the struggle. Puffy is like, I'm really trying to evolve. I'm really trying to, but they're still going to bring him back to 96. They're still going to bring him back to 92. How do you weather that when you know that you've evolved, you know that you've helped a lot of people, and somebody still wants to tear you down and keep you in that space?
What I do is I pay attention to what's important. You know what I mean? The fact that I would feel successful in my own right if I was him. And it's because I don't always think success is the end goal. You know, what happens, the results, the trophy, the awards, the fans. I don't think that's success. He gave so many black artists a platform that would have never where was we gonna see day 26 at? And I love day 26. This ain't shade, but realistic.
Shout out to Danny
Where
Kane.
was we gonna see them at? Who would have cared?
Making the band.
You know what I mean? Who would have cared about Cassie after her career if we weren't talking about him connected to? Like, let's just be honest. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think he's very successful in what he did, and I think what you said is very important. But that is also something it's just the duality of it. It's something we sign up for. You sign up for that monster, and once you start taking money from it, you take everything that comes with it. You feel me? And you've been living off of it. Right. So imagine what comes with it. Rumors. You know what I mean? Accusations. You dig what I mean? So, but I think he's successful. I think you put thousands of people in that position, again, at that age, with that type of money, going into Biggie's mom's house, like, this is what we about to be doing. They don't come out successful. They don't come out with an artist. No. But to do what he did, he's already got biopics and things about his life while he's alive. That's how you know people are living multiple lifetimes. Like, that's monumental, you know what I mean? But it's why I love that we talked about this, because I wanted to bring this up today. You know what I mean? The person that comes to my mind, just
what up, Kevin Stringer? What up, man?
Current artist would be Drake. Yeah. And it's one of the things that annoys me with people's criticism about art. Because I look at art so subjectively, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
talk about it.
I care about the artist. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute, y'all. This is Money Day. This is Money Day. Hey, we got Monday. We got Monday. We get paid to do this, y'all.
Turn up.
Okay, I'm sorry, man. A little comic relief.
So I think people have an unfair expectation of artists and their projects and art in a way. I don't care if people are slandering Drake's new album. You know what I mean? But like Diddy, we have to look at a person's body of work. Okay. And like Cosby, I don't think a trial or going to jail is going to wipe away what they've done. Like, I think it's underrated, really, how we speak on the things that they've done.
Listen, and I know I'm going to get a lot of boos, and I wish I had a boo sound. I wish I knew what the boo sound effect is, because I'd boo myself. But there is a reel going around, Tank being on Drink Champs, and it was undisputed in the comments that he said, I don't care what we put on Robert Kelly. He is the king of R&B. And he started running down not only his hits, but the hits he wrote for Michael Jackson, Ron Isley, and down the list, even some country singers that he was naming off. And I was like, R. Kelly did that? He said, who else in their catalog has a I Believe I Can Fly? So, and then they asked, like, if R. Kelly was to get out right now and do a tour, who would go to that concert? Comment. I'd be there.
Oh, 100%.
I'd be there. 100%. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that duality that you're talking about, you know what I'm saying? Do we get to pick and choose based on the extremity? I mean, because, you know, we all have that duality. We all have that dark side. Do we get to pick and choose?
I don't think we do, and the reason I would say, and this is why an intelligent conversation is being able to see both sides. You know what I mean? Right. I understand why people feel the way they feel about R. Kelly. I get that. You know what I mean? But this is also, again, a long list of things that go untalked about in our community. The way our boys are tortured when we're young, the way our boys are molested when they're younger, and just unaddressed. Right. The fact that back in the day, this is what, you know, was done against black people. When they go do something successful, oh, he touches little boys. You know what I mean? Just to discredit what you've done, because there was no other way. We were allowed to be in society now, so that they had to discredit us some way. Yeah. It was rumors, which still happens to this day. Right. Our sexuality is questioned if we do something great. True. The Illuminati's questioned if you do something great. It's never just that black man did something great. Yeah. Oh, he must have sold his soul to get there. So to me, these things are variables, and it constantly shows there's so many things we can't talk about. How are we going to care about these things y'all want to talk about over here? These little few things, but 90% is going unaddressed for years. You know what I mean? And again, we're the ones that have to suffer. My art's being questioned. Just for me to pass away in 100 years, they'd be like, oh, that poem was pretty nice, actually. Now that I think about it. He was pretty good.
And I think the more that people run into that reality, they, as Nas said, you can focus on your self improvement. You can focus on your mastery. You can focus on your craft. Because when you live in that reality that you might not be appreciated until you passed on, you might, that person might not appreciate you until you've gone on. You know what I'm saying? Or you're no longer in a space where you're accessible. A lot of times people can't see the benefit of who you are until you're no longer accessible. You know what I'm saying? But living that reality, and that's why I love how you've said it on numerous occasions. Quit always looking for the quick or instant gratification or the quick compensation. Just just put it out in the universe and see how that's going to come back. But it's really hard because we're always looking at someone else's life. We're always like, and we're always in a rush to get to that goal. Do you know? And this is just me coming out and saying this. I was able to slow down once I got here. I wanted to get there so fast, but then once I got here, I was like, I can slow down now. I can't explain why that is, but I feel like I'm in a space where now I can grow. I can slow down and really get it for what it is. How do people get to that point where it's like, okay, I'm in a rush. But now it's like, this is where I can.
I think it's through our manifestations. It's through the people that, we desire to be. It's through the lens that we look through. And this has always been something that I paid attention to in my life. Like, I always look for the people who are left out. I look for the people who are forgotten. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I've been sharing a book with one of my homies, but it's called No Woman, No Cries. Rita Marley wrote it, Bob Marley's wife. You know what I mean? And she wrote about her time. So how I started to understand the world when I was younger is I was like, a lot of people look at Bob Marley and they're like, you know what I mean? I want to be on this stage. I want to do this. I want to rock out. I want to tour the world. And I'm just thinking like, man, how is his wife experiencing that? Because all I'm seeing is tabloids is Bob Marley in Australia, Bob Marley in America, Bob Marley in Canada, Bob Marley just hit Japan. Like, I'm like, damn, that's 10 months. You know what I mean? And then I was reading her book, and she was just talking about how he was different people, because when he would come home from that type of tour, and we've been on them type of tours, they was lit.
Yeah,
it's hard to be home. You ready to get to the next tour, or are you still reminiscing about the last couple of weeks and sold out shows, and that fan that came up and knew who you were and wanted your autograph? Like, it's hard to tap out of that to a slower life. You know what I mean? So for me, I had to start putting myself in that person's shoes in the beginning. Like, okay, not how is this the person that's going to receive money off this product? How is it for the person that got to make it? And they may only get $1 a day to make it. And this person is probably going to make $100 in a month off of it. But what is it like for that person today? And can I live that life? Because they're doing it every day. So it's hard for me to say I can't do it. You know what I mean? So it forces me to slow down.
To Rita Marley, big sister. And the reason why I say that is because even on the documentary, she said, they asked her, how did she put up with all the fans in the world, right? And she said, I had to realize that he was a chosen person, and that the mission of what needed to happen in his purpose was greater than the common thing of me being his wife. Mm-hmm. Like that was a thing, right?
Yeah.
But in order to keep her heart from getting broken, you come on. In order to keep her heart from being broken, she's like, the earth doesn't produce a Bob Marley every day. And you can feel these things.
Exactly.
It's like when I was interviewing, shout out to my Uncle Marv if he watches this check-in. His best friend Shabadoo, if you guys watch the movie Breaking, Shabadoo was Ozone in the movie Breaking. So I interviewed his best friend this week. And he was saying that he knew he was great. If it was a feeling that he knew he was going to do big things, and no one could tell him any different. It's a feeling that you get, right? So when he went on to choreograph Madonna's world tour, and he went on to do things for Michael Jackson, we thought we thought it not strange because he already felt that. So going back to what you were saying, a lot of times you have to recognize greatness, and a lot of times, as Nipsey Nipsey Hussle, what's her name, Lauren London.
Yeah.
You have to love people without ego.
Yeah,
And that's the hardest thing.
That's powerful, and that's why, again, shout out to Rita. That's why I love women like her, like Rita Marley. Like that's to me is what I've always looked for in a woman, like someone who can understand like how big my purpose is, and that it's not gonna look like how your fantasy life looks like with a man. It's gonna be a lot different. You know what I mean? Because I'm still creating this thing as I go. But what's important in her story, again, why I implore people to look for the ones forgotten, look for the soft-spoken ones, look for the ones that haven't told their story, because it's going to teach you something about yours, and it's a perspective thing. And a lot of people said that to her in interviews, like, "Oh, do you wish he was still here and y'all had the money and the fame?" And she's like, "I got him. I got him when no one else had him." When she met him, he was sleeping in the studio on a door, like a door was his bed.
Yeah.
She's like, I had him. She's like, we used to read together, we gardened, we fed each other. Like, I had him. So your idea or your fantasy of him having all this money and flourishing on me is not my happiness with him. It was when he had nothing and nobody knew who he was, and we had that time. So it's hard for me to regret the passing on when I enjoyed the time so much. I'm just going to relish in the time. You dig?
And she was human. And let's I mean, because we got to put some respect on her name. When they interviewed the kids, it was like you could tell she was hurting. It hurt her a great deal.
Sorry.
I think somebody rigged that anyway.
I was trying to. Yeah, I got it.
I should. Yeah, she was, but that's why we always have to pay homage. Even as critical I am of my parents, I have to pay respect to their generation. Even as critical of my grandparents, you got to pay homage to their generation. Rita Marley went through something 99% of people wouldn't go through. Like, keep in mind, and a lot of people who don't know her story or seen the documentary or read the book, while he was on tour for a point in time, women was just showing up to their house, dropping off the kids, like, I heard he big now, I can't raise him, like, here you go.
And it was his child.
Yeah, and that's her child. She took them in, she went to the market every day, sold her fruit, sold her goods, ran the garden, raised the kids, held it down, you know what I mean, on little income.
Right. And it was more than money. It was more than Bob having money. I mean, she really loved that man. She really understood the assignment.
To me, and to me, that has to, how we grow is that has to become the standard of love. That can't be the perfect love story or couples goals. That has to be the standard, you know what I mean? But that standard has to be set. Kids have to grow up seeing that love.
Right, absolutely. So, I mean, when it comes to even Miss Broadus, Calvin Broadus, she was even saying that as well. And we're not making excuses for men being philanderists when it comes to their
it kind of proves, though, that you can create a career that's bigger than your shortcomings.
Yeah.
No one cares. You know what I mean? No one cares. And we need to know the truth.
Yeah.
It broke my heart the first time I read her book, because I learned, like, her and Bob Marley used to fist fight in the crib. And the way I seen him, I'm like, he would never do nothing like that.
Right.
But then I had to humble myself, like you said, he's human. And you don't know where he came from. You don't get to put him on a pedestal and decide he don't get to make mistakes. That's not fair. Because you would feel differently if you was that person making that mistake. So It's not fair to look at, you feel me? So I needed to know that truth, but it would have been easy not to. That's again, what we said earlier, people have diluted language to the new, ignorance is bliss. Yeah. It would be easy not to know, but I never asked for easy. I don't want that. I want to know the truth, and that was a hard truth, but it made me love him more. I love Bob Marley. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's a legend. But I feel better now that I know the truth. I don't feel better knowing he only did good. I feel better knowing he was human.
Right.
He was human, and even when it came to the relationship with the kids, it was like you would think that he would, have some compassion on his kids, and he was hard on them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was like, even when it came down to races, he was like, you would think it was like, let the children play. You know what I'm saying? He would beat them. Like, no, if you want to win this, you got to work. You know what I'm saying? But it still translated into how they are to this day. You know what I'm saying? His sons are magnificent musicians, things of that nature. But like you said, and then let's go even further. We'll even take Joe, Tiger Woods' dad, Serena Williams, and their father. And I had this conversation in class. It's like we can we can criticize and scrutinize Joe and all these fathers for what they did, but they turned out some of the greatest athletes and musicians in the world.
Yeah.
And when you really look at, and I'm not justifying Joe's tactics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at his intent, as I mentioned before, Gary, Indiana is still not
That's
the
the
best
hood.
place in the world to be now.
Y'all ain't been to
They said Gary, Indiana has a smell to it. You know.
Stop at the stop sign.
Yeah.
Like, without thinking you might not.
You better know somebody.
Yeah.
Straight up.
So imagine a man having 6 sons and 3 daughters.
Yeah.
And and he knew what he went through. And it was like, I gotta find a way to get them out of here. And a lot of times you can passively raise your kids, but they just won't get them. Like, no, you really gotta work to get to this level.
And that's why people have to understand, again, the context. You got to understand who you're dealing with and where they are in the world, because that's going to affect their journey.
Yeah.
A parent who was coming up in Chicago, in New York, they got pies to separate. You in Gary, Indiana, it's a crumb, and it's 10 hungry motherfuckers around that crumb. You dig?
Plus you and the wife, yeah.
You got to feed your family on that crumb. You feel me? Like, so they're protecting. They're always in that state of survival. And to me, we're survivalists. It's that's why it's hard to add emotion and ego to when you're watching what someone's doing, because you don't understand why they're doing it, and you don't understand what's driving them to do it. Yeah. And we never will understand those things. That's why we can't try to wrap our mind around it. We have to live on trust. That's why a healthy relationship requires trust. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that means don't question things.
Yeah, absolutely.
You dig what I'm saying? But that means you also can't doubt it. You can't speak doubt into it. You know what I mean? You can't speak it not working into it. If you going to speak about somebody's situation, help them. Like, every time I see that meme, I share it. Like, before you criticize what somebody doing, go help them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because those are things that are so simple, but I think it ties into what you said and why it's so important. We get to those conclusions when we slow down in life. Sometimes we aren't intentionally missing things. We're just moving so fast. You know what I mean? Things get missed.
Yeah.
That happens to me every day. Like, if I'm late in my day and I'm moving fast, I'm going to forget something in the house. And I can put them all next to each other. I'm going to forget one of them. You know what I mean? Because I'm rushing.
If you haven't gotten a chance to watch this podcast on YouTube, watch Soft White Underbelly. This is a podcast.
It's a crazy name.
Soft White Underbelly. And I want you, it's about 200 or some episodes. You will be hooked after the 5th one, right? Because this genius of a person took life's bottom feeders and made them famous. Took the bum, put them in a black and white screen, and bum told his story. Took a prostitute, told her story. Took the pimp, told his story. Took the drug addict, told his story. The gangbanger, told his story. Took all the bottom feeders in the world. You gotta go to Soft White Underbelly channel on YouTube and see all the bottom feeders or the people that we relish or we just cringe at as a society. And then what I want you to do is listen to their story. Because as you said, demonize these people. But from the gate, their life was hard. Mom slamming up against the wall, you know what I'm saying, as babies, or, their mom being gone for 2 or 3 weeks, you know what I'm saying, at a time, and coming home in a slump or what have you. Dad just coming in and causing havoc or something, or seeing someone get murdered at the age of 3. These are things that you were like, oh, this shaped your life. You almost, I wouldn't say you didn't have a choice, but you had nothing.
You're being pushed in this direction.
In this direction. So, a lot of times when you don't know the background of someone, it's quick to, you know what I'm saying, like, oh, you're this and you're that. And that's point your finger.
And that's what created the type of person I am, because I can see both sides, and I even realize a person with what they would consider, quote unquote, a good job in any point in time, you was a thin line from this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't too far from them. You feel me? Because some of them, it wasn't a series of events. It was they put all their money into one bet and they lost. You feel me? Like they put everything they had in that relationship and they left.
Yeah.
They put everything they had in that job and they went out of business. They sold the company. You know what I mean? Like things happen. And this is not for me to look at their story and look at them in pity, because I don't see that as a good thing. I had to teach myself to stop pitying people, because that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel sorry for you. Like I want to figure out how I can help you. And I realize I have to learn something from your lesson. That's why you connected with me. I have to understand how you got to this point. And it wasn't because all these rainy days.
Yeah.
It's because you put all your eggs in one basket. So then reverse engineering, I'm like, I'm going to need multiple baskets. You know what I mean? And then before you notice and realize, you're talking to yourself and you realize, I already had these baskets. They just been in the closet, need to dust them off. You know what I mean? I do a lot of things. I just got to put eggs in them.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So you got to constantly grow. And when we get in those stagnant positions, like sometimes that's a good position to be in, because it gives you time to think. And sometimes you really just need time to think versus getting on to the next thing. And we see that and we experience that in our 20s, I think, primarily in relationships. We got two cultures. Somebody that's going to be in this relationship for 10 years, somebody that's going to be in 10 relationships for 10 years. Them was the only cultures I grew up in. Those was the only type of relationships I knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you see one person like, man, y'all been together that long, I ain't like that. They usually trying to be the other. So I'm like, how do I be in the middle? You dig? Like, I'm constantly looking at, okay, I have to be in the middle. And when we're younger, we can't, because we only have one side. We're attached to one side. You feel me? And as we expand, what spirituality is realizing there's an infinite amount of sides. Those are only the sides you want to acknowledge. That's your box.
Right.
You feel me? And when you get out of your box, life begins then. You don't step out of the box into the promised land. You got to get out of that box and you got to go find you a pickaxe. You got to go find you a hard hat. Go get you some water. You got to get to work. You dig what I'm saying? That got to be your first mindset while you in the box. That's why everybody leaves jail differently.
Man, hey, let's put a bookmark in that. Either they serve time or time serves
You
them.
dig what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
So that created the context and the love of the education. That's why, again, I don't just denounce my parents' generation. Half of the rhetoric and things I spoke was when I was a kid, and it was y'all just talking. And it was y'all shooting the shit. But y'all had to create that type of environment. So when I get older, I don't have that. I'm like, man, how can we create that? Reverse engineer. What did they do? Or they was drinking. All my friends don't drink. Oh, they was playing cards. Oh, yeah, we can do that. You know what I mean? You already initiated. That's manifesting.
Right.
Again, it's not always asking. Sometimes it's just participating. And we don't participate enough because we're like asking for some shit. Man. And asking for something really is just telling yourself you don't have it. Over and over and over and over. So to me, I tell myself I have it. I don't go get in a relationship to get love. I wake up and say I'm loved because I loved me. It only takes one person.
I gotta put a hand clap for that.
You hear what I'm saying? It only takes one person. So when we can dumb it down and we look at these two careers simultaneously, yes, we can still love Bob, but we got to feel for Rita.
Yeah.
And we stopped feeling for Rita. She got ignored. She got pushed to the back because Bob is bright.
Yeah.
It's hard to see anything around the sun, you dig? That's all you see. So one, I had to humble myself. I had to stop trying to be the sun all the time. I had to stop trying to emulate that and be that. And I had to start promoting Rita and the person I date.
Absolutely.
And my friends.
Yeah.
And how I speak to women. You know what I mean? But I first had to identify that I had a problem. So again, we aren't good problem solvers, so we don't know how to identify sometimes. I got a problem.
Can we get a hand clap for accountability, man?
You know what I mean?
Can we get a hand clap? And the reason why, I don't know why more people can't just stop looking outward and say, I'm the problem.
Yeah.
I have not seen so many people in the world who always project they did this to me. They did this to me. You did this to you. Right. You did this to your kid. You did this to your mom. Yeah. You did this to your dad. I'm the problem. Because once you start there, that's when you can say, okay, once I've dealt with me, now I can start moving in a way. And honestly, once you start there, the universe is going to start moving these things in or out of your way for you as well. But the more you're going to get more of that. You know what I'm saying? So I wish people would look in that mirror and say, I'm the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome to the show.
Hey,
she finally got here.
Yeah.
She finally got here.
Because in that aspect, this is why the relationship with self is so important. You know what I mean? Shout out to Aunt Whitney. I love we always pay our homage. But that self-love is the most important love. Like, she had it figured out. It's so important because that's the universe is your first type of relationship.
Yeah.
And the reason we're so one-sided and bad at relationships because of our spiritual relationship is because we always talking, but we ain't never listening. And a lot of people do that in real life in their friendships. You always the one got a problem, but you never really listening to their side. That's the friendship. It's not y'all helping. It's not that I got the $20. I picked up the phone. You know what I mean? You don't know what I could have been wrestling the bear over here. I've been tangled up. Like, hey, chill out, bear. What up, bro? That's my homie. You know what I mean? So that is the relationship, giving that recognition up front. So it's easier when you already do it for yourself. Because again, I'm not treating y'all no less or better than I would myself. So the duality now is I educate myself on a different level. Okay. Before I come say some shit about lanes, I'm like, nigga, go listen to your show. Go look at your social media. You posted what are you doing? You feel what I'm saying? So that's the duality. I can't overhype myself without being overcritical on myself too. So I just find that balance. I give myself enough of both sides.
Absolutely. Now we had something that Walisha wanted to bring to the table. First of all, this is our last week. Congratulations to the graduate. The graduate is in the building. So last day was yesterday. How you feeling?
I feel good. I still got some work I gotta do, but I'll leave until Wednesday. So
you in the right place.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. I am thankful that I stepped out. Can they hear me good?
Yeah, from what I see, they can hear you.
Oh, great. I'm thankful that I stepped out.
Keep talking, though.
Literally, I was homeless. I had a whole situation that happened when I started this program, you know, and I really, in my right side of my mind was like, hey, you ain't got no business doing this right now. You need to get your money up, you need to do all these other things. And I stepped out on faith, literally, and just feeling that this was supposed to be a part of my process. And now that I'm here, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that Tim, like you heard me saying, you have multiple people on the show. Like, I've been on your show so many times that I learned, like, okay, this is something that I enjoy. Yeah. I enjoy giving out the information and having healthy dialogue. Yes. That is really what's preventing it. I don't know your past as my elder, so yeah, I'm gonna do all this. And then you telling me not to go this way and not to do that is not gonna change me from doing it. I need to know. You need to have a sit down. I need to have this trust established. But there's many things building up to me taking your advice or even allowing you to guide me. So I'm thankful that I'm in this position, and I got so many elders around me that I'm having these conversations with. Like I did wake up and was like, why did when I was younger, my father taught me how to drive for the sole purpose of nobody want to take my grandma nowhere. So I'm 11 years old taking my grandmother places because ain't nobody else got patience for her. Yeah. And that's crazy when you think about it. It was early 90s then, like 91, 92. But I'm driving. My grandmother, and I can't wait. I can't wait to go pick her up. So the day she got to go to the store, I'm excited because I can be lost. Yeah. And it's young town thing. Right, it's a vlog. Right. It's like they're waving, doing all this. Plenty of times my spirit ain't like, hey, get your ass up. Right. Making a wide turn.
Turn the radio down.
And people looking at me, you get them instant sweat pics, She
look young.
Right. But it's back in the day, who gonna challenge you?
Exactly.
You ain't out here causing no mess. I ain't, not the, Kia boy. I ain't stealing nobody shit. I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I'm going to pick up my grandma and take her to the store because the elders that's in our family that came after her, they ain't got time and patience for her. Right. You know what I'm saying? So now they raising me up as we should do, right? Raising up the next to come and take care of the elderly. So I was thankful, but I think that when I came back into the city, I just was noticing how separated we were. But then, mind you, that was right on me becoming a doula or certified. And so the understanding that I had got was we were supposed to have children closer, keep the generations closer. So it'd be easier for me to tell you all of this stuff if we got a 20, 25-year, 30-year split rather than I'm 50 and you 0 and I'm trying to teach you everything I know within this time. So I saw how we were just disconnected. So I'm thankful to be in a space where I got elders that are around me actually pouring into me and acknowledging that you at the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Before you tap into to your subject, I want to say we need to stop this rhetoric about we don't need another podcast. We need as many podcasts
as we can.
It's dialogue.
Exactly.
It's conversation. It's healing. So when you come up with this, yeah, we need as many as we can. I mean, and every podcast is not meant for mass appeal, right? There are for these two eyes that we see, these 5 eyes that it blinks up to, these 10 eyes or whatever. But that's why I'm glad I have people like Tim and Walisha here, because it's not about the number. It's about the dialogue. It's about the content and what we're getting out as people. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was going to say, she ties in perfectly what we was talking about earlier as far as it's a natural dynamic because the trust is there. The trust is such an important thing. I think that's what started bridging the gap between generations. And it's what pushes some of us forward, because that level of trust, to be there to tell somebody like, yo, you need to look into that. You know what I mean? And I've had several people do that in my life. Like, they just heard me having a conversation like, yo, you need to be on radio. You know what I mean? But it was somebody I trust, somebody I know, and they were saying it from a position like, yo, you should have been to like this. Yeah. This is what they do every day. This is you doing the same thing. You feel me? And they had to have the trust to push that hard, because some people you push away. So it has to be that level of trust and uncomfortability, because sometimes, we do need to be in a position where we like, yo, go see about that greatness. Invest in that greatness,
though. For sure. And be willing to listen to them. Like, I'm not thinking that I'm going to have everything that my elders have, but at least I need to know. I need to know where y'all been, what things y'all, like, opposed y'all from getting to where y'all went to, because now I can calculate my steps in the future. But if I know nothing, so which brings me into the topic of the spiritualness behind our sexual energy and our sexual pleasures, right? Is that, how do I want to say this? I feel like we're so misguided because we don't have a full understanding of these things that are considered taboo. As you come into a certain age or come into a certain place, or however you choose to express yourself sexually, could be a taboo in most communities. And I think that it's a hindrance, especially in the Black community, when we don't have a full understanding of sex. Like, is this not to create children or other things or manifesting things? Like, we need to fully understand, because now we're shaming our very existence. Like, I'm supposed to be a sexy person, obviously, because I am that. However, the translation to now having sex and using my sexual energy gets clouded with the R. Kelly's of the world, where it's like, regardless of what he did with his sex, with his body, he could have possibly damaged someone else.
Right.
By expressing his sexuality.
Right.
But where is a healthy dialogue behind healing? Because I feel like people that touched on me, they were in a place where they should have been healing themselves. And I think that on a spiritual level, they came close to me because the pureness in me, like, it was almost like, this is bad to do this, but I need help. I need goodness, whatever. And the way that they saw their goodness was taken from my body. That makes sense. So I feel like
it does.
Y'all can break it down.
It makes sense.
Put them all together.
It makes sense, and it ties into again what me and Delayne was saying earlier. You know what I mean? As far as, I don't think those situations are an agree or disagree situation as far as R. Kelly is referring to. You know what I mean? Everybody has their opinion on that situation.
Absolutely.
But my thing is if we're going to address that situation, we have to address also the things that lead to that situation, the conversations that's hard to have. The fact that men are bred this way. I hear this all the time in those shows. We talk about it. I agree with it 100%. When we did the clip when they were saying like women are basically aging out, and you know what I mean, men are getting better with age or whatever. They're looking for younger women. And we are trained, like, we're bred that way. We're vet that way by society to always want the upgrade or the younger model or the purist, as you're saying. You know what I mean? Right. So we lose that in the spectrum of why mental health is just so hard to grasp for everybody on the same page, because you lose that in the spectrum of everyone is on a different mental capacity. You feel me? You can't enter a room with 100 people and tell everybody don't fight. Right. And some of these people, their household is fighting. Their mom and dad is UFC fighters. Right. They're like, excuse me, so don't live. Some people are fighting every day for their health, to protect their secrets. So don't protect. You know what I mean? It means something different to everybody. Right. And there was so long, again, I never put this against people when I say men weren't able to have a voice in a table, because now we do, but we still have to have the grace. If there was a void for that for a while, where we had to keep all of our secrets, all of our, hidden agendas, all of our attentions. I couldn't even to the priest really go confide in how I was feeling. You know what I mean? We could see that in the movies, but I couldn't go do that. I couldn't just go at him on Sunday like, yo, I want to kill a man. You know what I mean? That looks good on TV, but in real life, that's a whole different type of situation. You know what I mean? You can't go to him like, yo, I built this family, and it seems like everyone's happy in this family but me.
Right. Well, you gotta look at you gotta look at water, right? Water has so many uses, but I mean, it's dormant. It's useless, right?
Yeah.
Until we can channel it in the right direction, and that's what I feel about, as Napoleon Hill would say. I have to refer to Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich. I wish more of us in the world would practice sexual transmutation, right? So when you kind of break that down, it's, as Walisha's saying, taking the sexual energy and transmuting that into purpose, into goal. This is what a lot of people like Napoleon Hill was talking about. The great ones, they take and practice sexual transmutation and put it into the music, they put it into the art, they put it into out of one day, he was talking about, I think it was Andrew Carnegie using his sexual transmutation as, I want to build some damn skyscrapers and things of that nature. We don't know how to take that sexual energy and transmit, especially in the African American community, because I hate to be graphic, all that energy is used for is a quick release. You know what I'm saying? Or per se, let me get this instant gratification, and the next thing you know, it's used as a drug or a high.
Exactly.
It's not used for procreation. It's not taking that energy and saying, let me kind of, harness that energy and transmute it into something that can be powerful.
And I agree with what you're saying in that sense, but I would flip it on the person and say, then that you don't have a sex problem, you have a life problem. You know what I mean? Sex has become your cigarette. Like, doing it to feel better about your life.
Right. So how do we go about correcting that? Because for me, looking back on my youth, it was certain things that I knew because I've seen things that I shouldn't have known, that my children don't know. I'm thankful that they don't know at this age. But how do you correct? How do you go about ending and correcting what? Because now we're still taboo. Like, children don't know about their sexual organs and don't fully understand how to reproduce until it's too late. It's like, oh, well, shit, now I'm pregnant. That's how you have babies.
Right.
Like, I didn't know. Or people are like, I remember when we was in high school, they would say, like, literally the thing, girls would say, have sex on your period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a thing to push, like, yeah, wait to have sex on your period because you can't get pregnant, which is somewhat true, because it's breaking down. But the steps that I needed to know about, how to, I didn't know. And there's a lot of women and men that just don't understand the cycle of things. So it's multiple layers. It's not only, okay, us sharing bodies or us creating something or the energy. It's also now understanding that I have a cycle or why I have a cycle, what that means. Understanding how your prostate works and how your prostate is connected with producing life. Like, to me, it's many levels to this, and we want to almost erase and be like, okay, well, here's the condom or here's some birth control. And then after you have a baby, we ready to have a conversation. Or after you're pregnant, now we ready to have a conversation with these younger people about sex. But why can't we just tell them about their body, what their purpose is, and what they're supposed to do, so that they don't have that instant fear? I feel like we fear it, so we don't tell them. We don't include them because we're like, if I tell you, you're going to go out here and just misuse it. And it's like, well, they already misuse it. They already are doing what they feel need to be done.
I think, to me, it goes against, I think it's not being taught and it's not popular because it goes against the system. The system wants to sell sex. It doesn't want you to be educated on sex.
And not only sex, the system wants to push drugs. They want the world continually stimulated in the wrong way.
It's a sedated state.
In a sedated state.
Yeah.
So if I can get you to use this phone, this device that we're on right now, and every time you scroll or you're seeing somebody twerking, that's automatically going to play into your psyche somehow, some way or another. So, that's where it goes again back to sexual transmutation, because if I could take that energy and I know that energy, okay, I'm feeling this way, let me see how I can get the most production. Now, when it's time for sex, yeah, that's where you unleash.
So when you say you feeling this way, you talking about when you feeling horny?
When you feeling either horny or when you're being sucked in, to kind of find that mind state, right?
Okay.
So when you're going down, you probably scrolling and you're not looking to see somebody's big ass on the thing. I mean, we're all adults here, right? So you're not scrolling to see somebody twerking their ass, but now that and then sometimes they're even slick enough to say, now that we have your attention.
But there's a thing too, like in the male world, you know what I mean? Because men can't joke about certain shit. We got to be particular with what we say and how we approach people.
Yeah.
So to me, it creates this realm to where we have levels of when we're quote unquote horny. Like I can see something and be like, okay, she looks nice, or her body probably looks nice.
Right.
And then I can see somebody like, okay, I want this person. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or I can see somebody like, you know, I'm just gonna fantasize about them. Like, come on, Janet Jackson. You dig? But I can separate. I had to learn to separate that in my mind. That was what my elders taught me. Like that was a man's journey. Like. You can't become from boy to a man till you learn to control your sexual urges. You know what I mean? Because you have the power to act on everything you want to do, so you have to show the most restraint.
Yeah.
But everyone wasn't shown that through example. So a lot of people are told these things, but someone has to lead that way for a lot of people. They got to actually see their father, their uncle, their brother doing these things. And for a lot of us, we got lost in society was growing. Social media was growing. Sex was selling more than ever. Right. It became $1 billion a year industry. Yeah. That changed everything. But nothing changed about what was happening with us because we were tapped into the system. We needed this job. Y'all wanted to work at the Playboy Mansion. Y'all loved Hugh Hefner. You feel me? Like you love loving hip hop. You love the entertainment. So you can't denounce it even when it's happening in your house because you show too much love for it. So really, again, that's why I say it's a life thing. People have to detach from the system, and I don't see it happening no time soon. Like,
right? Because I was telling Tim, one of someone that I was speaking with mentioned that it was about 7 or 8 when they lost their virginity to a friend's friend. She was like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
But he was like, after she did what she did to me, it felt good in the moment. But I started looking, and he said he immediately. Looked at her a certain way, was like, I don't want that ever again. Like, I don't want that from her. Like, I don't want her to do those things to my body, or this and that and the other. And so it's on one end where when I grew up, I thought it was something wrong with me, literally, because people kept wanting to take advantage of me and touch on me inappropriately. So I was like, okay, granted, it's something that is, it's like something that is wrong with me because I had this traumatic things that happened for a long time of my youth. Then when I come into the world, I'm like, y'all haven't experienced it, or y'all not talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing my dad said when I was little, and it hit me really when I got older. He said, "Man, watermelon is always sweeter when you're stealing it, right?" Mm-hmm. So,
oh shit,
which is a
fact. So. What that translated to me when I got older is we are in love with taboo.
Yeah.
We are in love with things that you're not supposed to do. The danger element or the secretive element of it that they say, oh, don't do this. But, it can't kill you. But, you know what I'm saying? I want to see what they say, curiosity killed the cat. So now that this curiosity is piqued, and then once you find out how good sex feels, now, hey, I want it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Or I know that this is the best feeling in the world, So even when I love the movie Ray, when they're in there and they're shooting up, and he said, "Come on, Ray, let's do this. This feels better than sex." He said, "Ain't nothing better than sex. ain't nothing better than that."
Shut your mouth.
Right? I don't care how good this feels. Ain't nothing better than
get out.
Please. So now that we know that that's the greatest feeling in the world. We always trying to pursue it, get after it, or whatever. But imagine putting that power into the unbridled thoughts of that 14-year-old. Soon as I know 13 years old, soon as mom and dad, in my case, soon as Nana left, I'm a Playboy channel.
Yeah.
Porn.
So okay, now so
you know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this:
I wasn't supposed to be doing it.
That was introduced to you from elders? Like, did you catch them doing it, or was that something that your peers
Rite of passage for I was born in '74, so rite of passage is you was rolling through the park one day and you saw that magazine, and then you called six friends over, and
Okay.
whoa,
Or you was scrolling through the channels and you see so
exactly. Hey, because while we were growing up, what was it? Cinemax. HBO and things exactly. Not even fuzzy. I mean, after 11 o'clock.
Oh, that was
Listen, because they didn't have blocks on the TV, so you scrolling through and you hit HBO. Next thing you know, it's after 11 o'clock. They thinking you put the kids to bed.
Love grandma house. You don't know how to put a block on the TV.
But in the 80s, they didn't have a block.
He used to have that one show too that came
BG Uncut. Yeah, BG Uncut.
Legendary.
I was like, dang,
legendary.
What recording this?
Yeah.
Right.
But no, it's too, again, this is why we were saying early on that we're learning now. You know, it took us 30, 40 years, however long, but we're learning like psychology has to be introduced as young, you know what I mean, as you can as possible. And because too, men are just naturally like, we want to conquer things. Like a lot of the things we do is not personal or it's not romantic. It's just we're wired a certain way and we move a certain way. And the world has created all of these blockages. Yeah. So now it feels like we just always got to break through this wall, or we got to, you know what I mean? Like we're going against the opposition. But to me, that's spirituality. That's natural. This is what's happening when I say a person's in the system. A part of you is starting to reject certain things because naturally you should be skeptical. Yeah. Someone should have to, you know what I mean, prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt this is true. You dig what I'm saying?
And let's say I never found that magazine, right? I also remember at 8 years old, and my everybody knows my dad was a pimp, but this was a woman he was trying to get to know, but she had a daughter around the same age. So as he's just picking her up, as we all going to go kick it, so as a kids play date, exactly. He in the back telling me, hey, get to work. Like I'm like, get to work with what? I'm looking at the girl like. He's like, hey, and he wasn't saying have sex, but like,
start her up.
You go to work,
plant the seed.
I'm 8, right? Yeah. But he's like, I want some game coming out your mouth. I want you to like girls, so hey, get to work.
The sexual moments from my elders are hard stamps in my life. My father, I can remember one time when I was younger. He was around someone that was not my mother or his wife, and this woman kept trying to kiss him. And I had this simulation of jealousy for my stepmother because I'm like, I know she married to my stepmom. I'm like 5 or 6, and I'm looking at this woman like, who is you? So the things that I heard people say about my mother, I'm now saying about to this woman, like as a child, because I know the game. Like I know that Papa was a Rolling Stone because I'm a result of that. But and why are you kissing on my daddy? And it scarred me in a way, almost like I inherited jealousy that my stepmom should have been feeling that I don't think she's ever really felt. Because her thing was like these women don't really want him in life. They just want what they see. He's light skinned. My father looks like Smokey Robinson.
Oh yeah,
there it is.
Pretty Ricky. Yeah. He was a Pretty Ricky.
Exactly. So naturally, and I've seen women like just as a child. Now that I know the game, now I can remember just being out, just women just pouring themselves over for him to get his attention. Yeah. Like calling, like he could be at a restaurant, the waitress, like all like group. Like this extraness for him, like sit the fuck down somewhere. It's going on. But now that I'm a grown woman and I'm his child, I understand.
Yeah. Because you have to know that. And once actually, my father sitting there talking to Tim, I didn't realize how much of that same way rap had an influence on me, the black exploitation movie. Right. So when you watch the Mac, this is what they would emulate. You know what I'm saying? When they would watch Superfly, this is what they would emulate. You had to have all the ladies. You had to have your game tight. Yeah. You had to have that bread in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? And this is what gave you your value as a black man in the 70s is how many women loved you. You know what I'm saying? How could you spit game out your mouth and get all these women to just like, oh,
I want to add to that too.
You know what I'm saying? So that was very destructive because what did they do? And as the flip side of that was because I didn't get to work. Now, as my father would say, now accusations are, hey,
Right,
no,
exactly.
no, not at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm 8.
I want some G.I. Joe. I want G.I. Joe.
Right.
Tired. It's nap time.
So look, check this.
So that's just toxic, right?
They've been cloning Tyrone through television programming. Is what I agree with saying.
I'm sorry.
They've been cloning Tyrone through television programming. So based on what you say, like you said, if you're going to be a pimp, we're going to make a dope ass pimp movie to show you how to be a pimp.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a woman beater, we're going to make a dope ass movie to pull you in so that you know what to say and how to be. And then even how to make references like, so hop on the video, like list these things. I hate when people say, oh yeah, color purple, this color, like, Color Purple is a traumatic movie, and you sit over here telling me you didn't heal your family with Color Purple? Like, homosexuality was being introduced. Like, the fact that we approved and almost made it okay for black men to have a reason to hit on black women through that movie. Like, there's so many other things. They was like, oh, no, he came to the house and he saw how they needed the dowry, which is something that we need to get back to, but it was like the way that it was promoted, it was like, man, he took a child from her family, and we promote this as though it's like this is like if you're not black, if you don't see color purple.
And you know what? In hindsight, and I wouldn't say I was faking it, but I'll put up a couple flashback Friday photos, but you'll see me in a black T-shirt, brown khakis, and stuff like that. Far from being a gangster, right? I probably should have had on Carlton. I should have had on a Carlton sweater vest or some shit like that. Yeah, I probably should have had that. But because of the influence of Ice Cube, Easy, Quick, and all those people, I'm going to Upward Bound in khakis.
But
Raider hats.
I think that's where, again, the other side doesn't get addressed of that equation. And, you know, I agree wholeheartedly, you know what I mean? But what about the movies for just people who are pimps? Like, what about a movie that represents their actual lifestyle? Like, and I think that's why it's hard sometimes for all of us black people to relate, because when we live in a certain address, we have a certain type of mindset. Yeah. But a lot of the violence we say, like, is in video games and on TV, people live that. Like, that's still on Cleveland Avenue. You get what I'm saying? Like, I know kids, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds that have to keep a gun. Like, that's actually their reality. So sometimes TV gets too dolled up and it's not real anymore. You know what I mean? It kind of makes life seem a breeze or easy, or like you could just go figure it out. You know what I mean? Go get that job. Life is going to work out. And that's not real life. That's why I think the education and the healing should become teaching them the discernment. I can't control what's on TV. I can't even control what my kids are always going to watch on YouTube. I can put up the blocks. I can do all of that shit. Again, I was watching HBO at 8. Like 8. At 10. I was driving a car at 12. Like, these things wasn't, you know, out of my realm because I was around it, because everybody was doing that. Right. So sometimes kids are just mimicking and peacocking by the situation that they're in, and we create that alarm or that alert, like, oh my God, all is wrong. Like, the world's about to fall apart. Like, my kid did the worst thing ever, and you did worse shit when you was
the worst. How did sex become one of the worst things that you did?
And check this out. Richard Pryor, ironically, had one of the best sexual experiences. If you watch Richard Pryor live on Sunset Strip, Richard Pryor was like, man, he said, didn't nobody do this, that, and the other. He's now granted, me and Richard Pryor, we both grew up in houses, right? We grew up in house for prostitution. But there's something about the innocence of a child that you are oblivious to what's going on around you. Of course, that's Jackie. Jackie makes my pancakes. I don't care who she goes up in the room with.
Exactly.
They come back out 10 minutes later. I don't care. That's Poochie. Oh, Poochie buys me candy. You know what I'm saying? Or buys me Coney dogs. You know what I'm saying? But I'm 8, 9, and 10. I don't know that this is bad. Oh, they're getting dressed at 11 o'clock at night, and they don't come back until 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Doctors do it all the time.
And you don't know where
right. So Richard, getting back to Richard Pryor, he said, I grew up in a whorehouse, but my sexual experience, I was in the tub. playing with my boats and ducks and everything. Oh, what's, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and then according to that, he said it starts feeling better and better and better. That was his first masturbation experience in the tub, just playing with his toys, and next thing you know, you just start wandering, and boom, whoop, there it is.
How'd you get that?
So as the smart guy would say, you put a male in a room and lock him in there, he doesn't have any. He's still going to experience things that human nature. You put a woman in a room, lock her away from society, she's still going to feel these things no matter what, because it's human to do so. We pervert it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's 100%. The same as what we do pervert it, but I think it's the same with anything. When children are born into right and wrong, we confuse them by what we allow. But if they pop somebody in the head, instantly their body can feel, oh shit, that might have hurt them. Mm-hmm. Or if they see them crying, like, oh damn, I didn't mean to make them cry. My intention was to play or to alert you or get your attention or whatever. But they feel it, which is why they pop it. They come back like, oh shit. They feel that. Yeah. So the same with anything else. I think naturally that's natural to our nature. We're supposed to experience on our own, and I think I don't know if they do it for the women, but I know in the men's rights practice from the boys to men, they teach them how to masturbate. Like there is a certain cloth, there is a way that like you're supposed to, I guess, lift it back up your spine and keep it and hold it in and not release unless you're willing to produce new life. Yeah. And it's a taught behavior. So it's like now I ain't wasting myself, because one thing I think men don't understand is like sperm. Something like a drop of sperm is like equal to a pint of blood.
I mean, there's so many millions of
So why it takes you so long to recover and recuperate after you feel tired or sluggish afterwards, sometimes of releasing, is because of what your body has to go through.
Now, what do you think? I want to go back real quick to when you said, nobody tells me X, Y, and Z, and boom, next thing I got a baby.
Right.
So that's part true. But even at 5 years old, they teach you about heaven and hell, good and bad, and all this stuff like that, right? So going back to the 8-year-old situation, here's a twist. I was already going to the coat room at 5 years old. Exactly. I was already going up under the couch at 6 and 7 years old. You fill in the blank, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't want it to be forced on me. Okay, I already knew what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I was already in the coat room in kindergarten. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the fact that my father was forcing it on me, like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I was smart enough to know, like, I want it to happen on its own. You know what I'm saying?
And we needed more insight. You know what I mean? I think a lot of men do understand, like, how cum works, and we use it in a different way than I think women think we use it.
Yeah.
And this is even if you think of a successful, if you think of like successful men, they'll tell you, like, if you get $1 million, the first thing you should go do is bust a nut, because you get that after nut clarity. We understand it changes us. Like when we get finished, like if I'm not really rocking with you like that, I'm just cold. Like I'm just disconnected. Because all those emotions was that build-up.
That's why I say
it wasn't love. So.
On both fronts, you shouldn't let your spouse go away anywhere hungry or horny.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
If afterwards I want to cuddle, this might be love. We might be on to something. I feel like
but that's all the elements outside of that ejaculation, right? That's all the elements that makes you want to stay.
I don't have to include that anymore in your evaluation.
Right.
Now I can take that out, and hopefully it worked well for you.
Because you can have an IQ of...
Hopefully it wasn't bad.
You can have a 45 IQ, but you're a warm body. But after that, what's going to make me stick around and stay?
Because we look towards the future. It's the same way we parent. Like when we have that kid, we're preparing you for marriage, for having a car, for college, for your first fight, for your first sexual experience, for your first kid.
You need to charge
in our lives in a relationship, I'm looking forward in my life. I'm looking at, okay, is this the person I'm going to be having sex with the rest of my life, and is this how it's going to feel afterwards?
Yeah.
We analyze all these things. We aren't sometimes just having sex for the pleasure of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're playing chess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
we don't feel bad anymore because, again, sex has been selling. Sex has been weaponized against us in certain instances.
When that 13 or 14-year-old, 15-year-old does eventually have sex, and I'm talking about consensual sex,
Yeah.
I beg to differ, and they know the consequences and repercussions, but it feels good. I'm not thinking, like you said, I'm not in my right mind at the time. All I know is I snuck away from school to meet with my boyfriend or girlfriend, and I'm feeling this certain way. But then once I realized, man, I did this without a condom. Now that's when the fear starts coming in. Like,
yeah,
and then a lot of times our little girls need to understand that even when Johnny denies or can't be mine, he's scared too.
100%.
He's petrified. He's not really meaning to be mean, but he knows that he gonna get his ass kicked.
See,
too.
I wouldn't know what that's like. My first experience too was an older woman, and she knew what she was doing. She taught me the game that day because she was dealing with me and this is what I mean. Sometimes when I say women think they're men, she was dealing with me because she thought I was innocent. She thought I was naive, and she thought she was going to mold me into who she wanted me to be. So I played along, and I learned what I needed to learn from her because she's experienced. She had the game. You dig what I'm saying? So once I was separating from that, she was just kind of like, you kind of switched up on me. Like,
were you underage when?
Yeah, she was older. I was the first. So she was over age. I was 15. Yeah,
and she was over 18.
Exactly.
So that that was molestation, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Like, I see what's going on here. And at that time, I'm a different 15-year-old. You know what I mean? I was living on my own at 16. So at 15, I'm already in the streets. I'm in school. I'm in relationships. I had these things going on. But truly, honestly, like in middle school, like, and I used to watch HBO, but I never had the urge to have sex.
Yeah.
Like, I had this crazy experience in 8th grade when I was in the lunchroom. And there was this girl, like, and she just came and sat her lunch next to me, you feel me? And then she, like, whispered to me, like, you know how to rock the boat? I was so lost. I was like, huh? Like, what is that? I got so embarrassed, I just took my lunch and went and sat somewhere else.
Shout out to Aaliyah. Shout out to Aaliyah.
I said, excuse me?
I want you to.
And I understood these things was happening, but again, I just had no desire. Honestly, I was, being a kid, I was trying to hold on to the last few years of my childhood because I could identify I was growing up quickly.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, let me hold on to these things. But yeah, when I jumped in, it was irresponsible. I jumped in to fill a void. I jumped in to heal. It was that cigarette. I was doing it when life got hard and I got stressed and I just needed to realign.
Yeah.
And then when I started taking, it was probably my second to last kid. That's when I was like, okay, I got a problem.
Right.
I really looked back and I was like, okay, I'm trying to heal my hurt from my parents through having kids and trying to be a better parent than them. This has become a competition. And I'm like, this is hurting my kids because they're not factored into that equation. It's just me versus parents. Where do your kids fit in that? So I'm like, I got to separate myself from this. So the first thing I did, this is why I got in the pod. This is why I was doing motivational speaking for a few years. Because I was listening to a speaker, and that was the first time I really heard somebody speak about abstinence, but not just not having sex. Being abstinent are two different things. Mm-hmm. You feel me? So I was abstinent. It was the first time I was fasting for things, and the urges still happen, but I made a choice, like, we're not doing this right now. It don't matter how desirable this is. Don't matter if your ex is talking that sweet game. Like, we're not doing this right now, and I'm not even putting myself in those positions. I'm not answering those calls. I'm not going out to that club where I feel like I got to take somebody home. You know what I mean? Like, we're past that. And even in the 20s, I only went out because my homies went out. I wanted to spend time with my homies, and everybody went to the club.
Right.
I was past the club. We was getting in at 15, 14. I had already did that.
Yeah.
So I was thankful I got to do that. That's where it was hard for me for my brother because he was living so accelerated. I got to learn so much. So when he went to prison, I'm just like, damn, like, who going to teach me the game in the streets and about women? And you know what I mean? And I had to learn it. That encouraged me to go learn from myself.
And you see how we're talking right now. It's like these African Americans, we always talking slick or something amusing or entertaining. But how do we really, and shout out / no shout out to the young parents that made it look easy. This is why I felt like I could be a parent at the time I became a parent. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you seen, Keisha, 18 years old, when her baby got on nice clothes, she always smelled like baby lotion and stuff like that. I didn't realize Keisha was going through postpartum. I didn't realize that, you know what I'm saying, she was doing this by herself. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize that we just had all this trauma.
Yeah.
And I mean, because the deception is when we playing house with kids and stuff like that, we're emulating mom and dad.
Exactly.
So they make it look easy. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why it's important to know their truth, so we won't be over here faking the fun.
Not knowing that it really costs. Like Keisha, even though it's cute that little 18-year-old Keisha got a baby, but she can't go out kicking no more. You know what I'm saying? She can't go to college. Everybody say, bye, Keisha, we going to college. You know what I'm saying?
People don't understand having the baby is actually like a blessing. Like that's actually something good that can happen.
Yeah.
And there's so many of us, myself included, that you having these miscarriages and you got to just keep pushing on through life, or y'all just dive into the relationship and you try to ignore it. But it's changed things. It's changed you. You know what I mean? And these are the things we have to address early. These are things that I can say I'm willing to teach them, because I do wish I learned about these things before I start having sex. That's not saying I wouldn't have went down this same path.
Right.
But I feel like I would have been more prepared than I was.
Is it? Who just came in? Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I feel like
I didn't even know you went out. I'm sorry.
I feel like I would have been more prepared than I was. And that again, that doesn't lure to just you making different decisions, but it helps you be more confident about the decisions you make. Yeah. And when I was 20, I was just living life. You know what I mean? Because I was living in the societal spectrum. Them telling you, like, you 22, you better be happy. You wasn't even supposed to live past 21. Like, you on borrowed time, nigga. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, I gotta go have sex. I gotta go get some food. What would you do with your last 30 days? I gotta go eat. I gotta go lay down. So I'm constantly in that psychology. So that's why I had to break out of the system, because I was fighting battles I didn't even realize I was fighting. Trying to build a village, trying to love this girl, trying to raise this kid. You know what I mean? At the same time, knowing I don't have the answers. I just got to sit in the room with her and she's crying from this miscarriage. And I'm just like, I really don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And I don't want to come off as an asshole, because I've had to detach myself from that emotionally. And I want to be there for you, but I don't know. I really don't know how. Like, no one's ever showed me how to do that.
So I don't know what, I want to hear from you. I don't know what the pressure is like for women in adolescent to years or what have you. But I know, like I said, the pressure for me started at 8. But then once I got 13 and 14, that's when your peers is like, that's 13?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now that push is there, like, man, you're a virgin. Right. And you don't, that's a bad thing at 13, 14, 15.
About this on one of the shows a couple weeks ago, how we were just talking about y'all was pressured too, and we were pressured not to, even though we felt the pressure. Like, we felt the pressure of, hey, no, we should be giving in to them, because this is the thing, like, we're supposed to keep it a secret that we gave in, but we're supposed to help you in the journey of life and give you this great thing that you deserve to have.
Y'all have to be pure.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is impossible. Like, who can do that? You know what I mean?
It's unfortunate, because I think that, like I said, I look at my own journey, and this is something that I just figured out a couple years ago doing a shadow work, where I was like, my father was telling me men are no good, don't ever trust them. Don't ever give them X, Y, and Z, but then that leaves me hopeless for men if I believe in that. My mother was telling me, don't receive gifts from men, because then they're going to want to have sex with you. So then it left me hopeless again, like, okay, so I got to survive. I got to be independent and survive in this world and not share my body with anyone, because they're going to just steal from me. They're not coming with any good intentions, because my father already told me these men, they don't mean do nothing good. And so even though I have shared, obviously I have 5 children, but still my makeup is still flawed in how I think. So I'm always constantly checking my mental when it comes to, I said something to a man the other day, and he was like, oh, well, you basically just stopped me in the face and said something about, like, I've never entertained dating a white man. He's like, oh, and as you shouldn't. And I was like, who are you to say that to me? Right. Like, who, like, you don't know my journey. Right, you don't know my journey. You don't know what I've been through. And just because you're a black man and I desire that don't mean you get to speak against what I'm telling you I'm saying. And that I don't mean no diss to you. Because he said, oh, no, you're basically saying every black. I said, no, I said the black men that I've encountered recently have done X, Y, and Z. I realize it's something with me. However, you don't have that right to tell me I'm supposed to be with this person or that person. Like, you
ain't got the answers,
right?
Right.
Yeah, you ain't got the answers.
Like telling me, he actually said, well, wait, how old are you? I said 40. He was like, yeah, because if you was any younger, I would have said, bitch, da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
See, like, those men give us a bad rep.
And you think I would share and have, like, so I had a writer just real quick.
Entitled.
Because this is the entitlement stuff. But I'm dropping this guy off, and we get in a conversation of his son, and he said something about kill. And I was like, oh, we don't joke like that.
Yeah.
Like, I had to correct him, even though he was an elder. I'm like, I don't jump like that.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you got children? I say, I'm a mother of 5 children. Oh, you married too? No. I immediately said, right. I immediately said no, but not in a way of.
You try to put pieces together.
This brother gonna say, yeah, because he didn't mess it up for all of us. No, bro, he never messed something up for you. Like, you was never a part of the equation. I need you to understand that. I need brothers to stay in their lane.
See, your story is why we said in the beginning, this is why discernment is so important. This is why healing is so important. This is why I do understand what was depicted in the movies could have also been toxic, and some of it could have been beneficial. You know, you have the side to where they have villages. You know what I mean? We looked up to the hood guy, not just because he had money, because he had connections. He had 4 apartments. He kept places, kept clothes, kept money. He had these people driving him around. This person to go to jail for him. Like, he had that was their family. That was their village. But then you had the other side to where men are rarely shamed out of doing things. Like, we're bullied out of doing them. So when we were younger, that's why sex again was becoming taboo, because you got the good and you got the bad. You got the, from my generation, well, y'all should be out there doing it, you know what I mean? But don't be going down on her. I'm like, all right, so which is it? You feel me? We gonna do it or we not gonna do it? Yeah. And then you get older and now you love it. So you like, y'all know what y'all was talking about. Like, I'm down there more than I'm at Chipotle. And you was telling me this was the worst thing you could do, and my wife is happy. What was you talking about? So we just got to take everything with a grain of salt. Things aren't good or bad. We have to look for the discernment to know what applies to our actual life. I love the pimp again because they built that stability. I don't promote the pimp because they were tearing down our neighborhood. The drug dealer was tearing down our neighborhood. They try to do more that would overshadow that. You can't. Like, you're destroying people that you don't even know you're destroying until 10 years later. And now they up at the AA meeting like, yeah, Nino Brown ruined my life. You know what I mean? Like, and you ain't thinking about that in the money. You think about the money. You think about the grind and the hustle. So that's what sex became to us. It became the grind, the hustle. It became the rite of passage. It was no longer growing hair on your peaches or getting a beer. You dig? It was are you sexually active?
I'm gonna take 2 examples. You got Erykah Badu, you got Sexy Red. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, Erykah Badu, while she is, you know, revered as the soul mother, you know what I'm saying, Mother Earth and things of that nature, she still got 3 or 4 baby daddies. You know, she was outside for real. You know what I'm saying?
She lives her life.
She ain't have no children by no weak-minded men.
No, but she still got 4 or 5 baby daddies. You know what I'm saying?
Turn up.
But I'm not judging. No. I'm just saying according to society standards.
Yeah, absolutely.
She got 5 baby daddies. Sexy Red, you know what I'm saying? And people like Amber Rose, who is unapologetically saying, this is my freak, this is my inner freak, and I'm going to show you inside out who I am. I'm not trying to settle down. I'm telling you right now, I'm living like Glorilla. I'm living my toxic 20s. You know what I'm saying? So I just like I was telling, I think it was Jason the other day, I love a wolf. I love a wolf. I know exactly what you are. You are not ashamed to be who. Yeah. I don't like the people who like, you know, who you going to be. If you like sex, do that. But don't try to be like, oh, I'm so this.
Yeah, but this,
be a wolf.
But this, no, you can. But this feeds into my ongoing argument that you cannot read the tone of a situation. This is perfect. Because social media called this out perfectly. This is what I've been saying for years. Sexy Red is no different than Janae Aiko, but it's packaged differently. Janae's a lot softer, so people trust it. You're getting lulled to sleep through that soft voice thinking, oh, it's nice and it's a good... She's talking about the same... SZA is talking about killing people through singing. They talking about the same stuff, but since it's so loudly packaged, people are paying attention to Sexy. And you can get away with it by just hushing it, but it's the same message.
It's like you want to do the deed but not be judged by it. I'm like, you're in the public eye. So when academics did go at Erykah Badu, I felt he was out of line. I felt
he's a cornball
though. He was just saying like you trying to be a self-righteous
calling
person
her bees and everything.
And you got all these baby daddies and this, that, and the other like that. I think that was way out of line. You're entitled to your opinion.
That's a regular street person, I think, mentality.
But no, it shows to me too. It shows how ignorant people are to spirituality. We're not trying to be holier than that. Yeah, I'm gonna make some mistakes.
Life is life.
I like omelets. Yeah, I'm gonna break a few eggs. Like, what we talking about?
And even her ex-boo said, if what they say is nothing is forever, then what makes love the exception? So even in that whole circle of people that, like you said, the great man. Now, let's give a hand clap to Erykah Badu because she did come across some great.
Every one of those men. Why don't people talk about that?
Every one of those men found themselves after
her. They're not hard after the relationship.
Yeah.
So I think we need to, bury the illusion that I wouldn't say love is forever. But that doesn't mean your proximity is. Right.
But we have to, we all, and I agree, and this is where we all can learn a lesson from the academics and the Badu, because she's the queen mother. Like, people are going to come for her. And that's where we not so much have to defend her. We just got to keep walking that path and knowing her path. She tells you, be yourself. I don't care if you yellow, blue, brown, be yourself and be comfortable with being yourself. Don't feel like you have to be forced. Don't feel like you got to make these people happy. You know what I mean? And to me, seeing people do that, that's when they get deemed like the hippies, the free spirits. And that's okay. Like, I don't mind my life getting questioned because it's real. You can come check the tag. Like, it's real. I don't have to trip about stuff like that because I weave the fabric. I know it's real.
And here's the thing. I'll never get on this platform and tell anybody I'm a perfect person. Mm-hmm. I am transparent weekly. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a perfect person. But there is a level of standard that I do set for myself and for the people that I influence, right? So therefore I strive to do, even if I don't meet that mark. But I meet that mark a lot. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I meet that mark of a man of standard because of the discipline that I've developed over the years. There are times in my life where I wasn't so disciplined, but I worked on those areas, and there's things that I'm still working on. So, like you said, we're not perfect people. Sex is a natural thing. Mm-hmm. When I'm with my spouse and I'm in the grocery store, I see that big behind, like, boom. I know that, you know what I'm saying? It's going to
time in you seeing it though. That's what I'm thinking. Like
don't be disrespectful.
I think don't
be disrespectful.
It's the fantasy. Yeah. I don't know, as a man, I don't like that.
Wait. You don't like it that you fantasize afterwards?
No, I don't like I don't like when I'm out with my woman knowing some man's fantasizing about her sexually. I don't like it.
You know,
I don't like it. Keep those thoughts out your head, B.
It's what makes the world go around.
I think we are double standard in that. We are definitely double standard. It's definitely a double standard. At least you don't like it, though. At least you don't deny it.
I used to know a guy from church that every time I would come around, he would instantly get an erection.
Wow.
That's a lot.
It was really like...
That's intense.
It was like, what is going on with the world? Like, well,
come on. Well, we're going to make this a real show now. Now, you know who you are. Mm-hmm. You know what God gave you, right? Mm-hmm. Let's be adults here. So you know the effect. You've been, like Trina said, I've been with my body all my life. I know exactly what I do to it. So do you not? So do you really not know the effect that you have on men?
I just would say that I feel like I try to reserve myself. Like sometimes I used to drive Uber and listen less, and like to avoid from connecting with people, I would try to look ugly. I would try to make.
We don't care about that. we like y'all in sweats and ponytails. That we don't care about that.
I mean,
I was trying to be invisible because I felt like it was a distraction.
They see you, baby.
When you wear your TikTok pants and stuff like that, you know exactly what kind of before you walk out the house, you know what kind of attention you're going to attract. Especially when you know how when you know how God made you. Like I said, did you just wake up one day and was like, oh, God made me like this?
Yes.
You did.
I did.
How long ago?
That's when I told you, like I was 37.
Her transformation.
37? Yes. You didn't know?
No, listen. I was an ugly duckling. Like I was, And then like even when people talk about my ass, like my sister used to crack on me because my ass was shaped like a pear. And they would say this, oh, you're so skinny and that and the other. So for a long time, I used to be like, man, I just want to be thick. Thick was the new thing in the 90s, so I wanted to be thick in the 90s. Like,
manifested that shit.
oh, I'd be in there like somewhere. I want to be sick. I want to be sick. I used to say that shit. Like Jennifer Lopez played Selena, or was it? Is that the name?
Mm.
She ate a large pizza in the movie,
Yeah.
and literally I used to, or medium pizza. I used to always eat a medium pizza to myself because I thought it was gonna make my ass hurt.
Wow.
I was such a child.
You was
And it
already.
worked.
Yo.
And we win.
No, but
So you didn't know your power until Thursday?
no, I did not. And then even then, I was more so like, oh, I don't want this attention. I thought it was social media because I moved back to the city and people was already following me on social media. So when I would see them in public, they had this reaction like, you really like touching them, like you look like you do on social media, like you're so real. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening here? So no, for me, and who has a full length mirror and is staring at their ass? Like the world told me about my body.
I didn't. Man will tell you all day.
My man did not tell me about my body. He told me opposite, which is why I was the insecurities that I had because it was like I was too big at a certain point for him, and then once I started naturally losing weight, I was too small. I used to be toned, be fit, so I didn't want to look in nobody's mirror. I didn't want to be seen in the mirror because when I seen myself, I was like, "Who is you? You too big, or you're too this, or you're." So I was the worst critic more than the voices outside. I was having these internal conversations about my body. So when I finally did, I think look one time somebody was like, "Oh, you thirst trapped," and I was like, "What's a thirst trap?" I went and looked it up, and then I saw my picture. I was like, "Damn, I'm thirst trapped." Coming into self and appreciate myself, I'm just getting to know her. And all of her that I come with. So other people see what they want to see in me, but I'm just now getting to know her. So I know I did not always think this way or look at myself in this way.
That's one thing I do, and I definitely want you to finish, Tim. The one thing that I'm glad about, even though I may grew up in a toxic environment, is that I've been around women of leisure all my life. From the prostitutes to being in the rap game to being, you know what I'm saying? I've seen the most beautiful, and for being in the military, going overseas to Italy and France and all this stuff. Like I've seen it all. So, a lot of times when you don't have that exposure, that's when men become less gentleman-like. Because I have to look at some of my friends like, you ain't never seen. Well, you ain't never. You ain't never.
We was up here and the guy was, and I was like, "You've seen my ass before. Stop doing it. Stop looking at me like that. Don't look at me like we just got done doing something. Because that bothers me. It's messing with my energy."
Yeah, I thank my dad for at least desensitizing that part of me to where I could be a gentleman in any aspect of the room, and I think that's one thing that sets me apart a lot is just having that access. But I wish guys would be more gentlemanly, and there's some women like that attention. You know what I'm saying? They do.
But I think
I think I like it from the right person.
I think it depends on their background too. It depends on their upbringing. That's the epitome of how everyone's just different. And a lot of the guys I knew back in the day that did have the girls, like they grew up, it was their mom and like 4 sisters, and they were the only boy. They were used to getting that attention. They were used to talking to beautiful women every day. You know what I mean? These are things we have to learn through the process of being a man. You dig? And it's what's showing that the world is changing now because sex do sell, but sex won't get you kept. And that's what a lot of people are learning. This is one of the debates we was having yesterday with music because an article came out and they were basically saying, like, why is all the older rappers having all this success on tour, but these younger rappers can't get anyone to come out? And it's because they have reputation. They built a fan base over the years. So even when they did sometimes talk about sex and drugs, their music has substance. Right. Nowadays, y'all just pushing sex and drugs, so you're not getting fans. You're just getting people that buy it, and then they leave. They watch it, OnlyFans, they watch it, and they leave. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I always thought the goal was marriage. You know what I mean? Again, this is why we push back on these things, because it contradicts what society's saying they want versus how they live and what they accept.
Yeah, and that's where, we need to be adults and say, yes, sex can be used for procreation, but it is also used for pleasure. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
If you are single and you are free to date and do it, man, do you, boo-boo. If you are with somebody and you guys have an understanding of what your boundaries are and things of that nature, as the Bible says, the bedroom is undefiled. So you go have a ball and explore your spouse or your partner to the maximum. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody tell y'all what the limit is on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just think that, especially in Ohio, we grew up around this Bible Belt. So they condemn and demonize sex so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That this is why we have all these secret babies and love childs, is because, again, you're demonizing this, but you're still tapping into that taboo of fascination with all these Bible Belt, Christians
and
and stuff like that.
Into the children.
Yeah.
The children are now gonna have to live these thoughts that you held, like, oh, I shouldn't have did this. I made the biggest mistake in my life. I should have never got pregnant. I should have never did. So all of those energies are now being deposited into that newborn child.
And this is what creates the trauma cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you feel bad about yourself, you're going to transfer that to your child, and the child thinks that they're going to, do things differently, but you're still transferring that. So if as I close, if we had a more healthy dialogue to it, and not just protect yourself, not just that. It's like what you're feeling is okay.
Right.
If you as a woman, teenager to 25 or whatever, if you want to date 5 men, so be it. That's fine. If you don't want to settle down with so and so, don't feel pressure to settle down with so and so. It's okay to date these 5 men, but be careful. Be careful of your reputation. Be careful of things that you can contract, because you don't know who they're dealing with sexually.
Bad habits you gonna pick up.
But I really, and it doesn't.
Dating is different for everybody.
So that's why the healthy dialogue is dating 5 men doesn't make you a whore. It doesn't make you this type of person. So if we create that healthy dialogue, people will be more or less than to be sneaking and not have a healthy sense of who they are as a person.
I'm so happy we arrived here, because I feel like I've been trying to, we've been having this like surfacing conversation for so long to just to say, because I was like, it's challenging for me to see on the birth side. I see how it's affecting the communities. I see the conversations that people are having when it comes to sex and getting pregnant and the aftermath. But okay, if we're more comfortable with, you just jumped in. If we're more comfortable with taking someone who's mature,
9 and 10, and explaining to them how their body works, how the opposite sex body works, so that way when they are starting, and then I told my daughter, she just started her cycle, she's 11, and I was like, listen, you're going to get urges, and this is what it's going to feel like, and these are things that you can do in the place of that urge. You're an artist, and you're going to be very creative at these peaks of urges. So you can use that energy to go journal, to go draw, to go create something. You don't have to seek out this other feeling for that.
Adrian said there's a huge echo, so I'm not sure if that's somebody's phone that's up.
It could be mine. No.
Oh, you got on mute? Put on mute.
Oh,
shit. Yeah. All right.
Okay, yeah. So, but I'm already having I had her away from her siblings to have this conversation with her, and we just talked about that way, and then she asked some questions about sex, and we talked about that, because she was like, yeah, because somebody has already, my 10-year-old, somebody has already left a note that said they wanted to eat her ESY, so they had to have a whole conversation about what this means and why would somebody want to eat it,
right?
Because it's like, whoa, what? Yeah, so we already had to have a conversation about that with them. Just the girls, because the boys are a little bit younger. But I think if we are comfortable in our sexuality and our sexual energy, the energy that we're putting out, you should have no problem with having safe, healthy conversations just to get them aware. No different than you do with cooking or swimming, anything else that they're doing. Anything else is essential in this life that we live. Sex is essential. People kill for that. You know what I'm saying? Like literally.
Yeah, war.
Like in the Bible. It was just a war over this. So, but the sacredness has been taken out. The taboos have been entered in. So now here we are holding a gun, looking like the killer, looking like, we've been premeditated this all this time. When it's like, no, we technically haven't, but we have the opportunity to gain the people back in and just talk to your children about the simple conversations. You ain't got to go real detailed, like, oh, well, you do this and that and the other, and this is when you put the thing. No, you ain't got to get that deep, but you got to bring them off of this high horse, because what happens is if you don't make them feel comfortable about who they are becoming as a sexual individual, they're going to go out And the people who are making them feel comfortable, they're just going to express that with them more and more, and they're going to keep you out of it. And then next thing you know, it's going to be that cycle of your fear all over again in your own family.
Manifested. And I think that is the underlying issue. I think people have conversations. It's just these aren't particular to how we conduct learning. In any form of learning, any career, there's always continued education. You never graduate from learning. You graduate from the institution. But learning is forever, and these things, we just try to teach it. It has to be continuously taught. It has to be continuously talked about. They're going to have these conversations with you at 15, 18, 21, 25, and you won't always be the one there to have the answers. But this is what we're preparing for. This is what we're healing. We're finding the answers. We're connecting with people who have the answers. We're taking them to a specialist. We're taking them to a professional. And we're building trust within these friendships and relationships because our kid is watching that whole process as well. You know, sometimes as a kid, that was my frustration and resentment. It wasn't that you showed up or not. It was how you handled the problem. You know what I mean? And I feel like it created a bigger mess than I was in to begin with. So that level of trust is what we instill in each other as soon as we can start instilling it. I think we wait too late, and I think the education is too spread out. This needs to be a constant thing we're doing.
And with that trust, please give our teenagers and adolescents the power of choice. And I'm talking about from both ends. Give them the power of choice. Once they have the information, I've seen a lot of toxic dads that, say my son better not be this and better not be that. And I think that's horrible because now you have caused that child to live on the inside and to hide and to really feel bad about themselves. I remember certain friends of mine where they would be in front of this altar week over week trying to pray the gay away. You know what I'm saying? That was horrible experiences for these guys, man. And women, denying who they were because they didn't want to feel ashamed in front of their parents. But then you don't have to label each and every guy that gets girls a pimp either. Don't put that label on him either. It's the same way you don't label a woman who wants to exercise her options, a young lady who wants to exercise her options, or you have to get rid of these labels and things of that nature and give these kids the power of choice. They're young. They have a lifetime to settle down and find out what it is they truly want. And if we automatically project our ideals and things like that on these kids, this is why we have the generational gap, why we have the generational war that we have, because by the time they do open their eyes, they're like, I didn't really want that, and you forced this on me. F you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so I want
don't
that
realize
trust.
how much time they have. This is a message I always give to the kids. The things you think you want now, you ain't always going to want those things.
Yeah.
You think you're certain about this woman got to be quote unquote pure. When you get older, you're going to want a woman with experience.
Yeah.
The thing that you just have to have the discernment and tell her and advise her, don't bring the energy from your past relationships. And then we good. I don't care about your past. As long as I ain't got to deal with it.
Yeah.
You dig what I mean? But if you can come and leave all that in the past, I'm glad you went through that because now we don't have to stumble over that. We don't have to go through that. We can get to living our lives. So maybe you went through that so you can come to me prepared. So I didn't always feel that way. You know what I mean? And you just got to look. When you're younger, it's hard, but you got to try to look ahead in these decisions, especially when it comes to sex. That's not something that just affects today.
Right.
So we got to start teaching them to look ahead.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I want to say, too, for parents who are talking to their children and are dealing with some type of sexual identity at a very young age, you might want to check if they have been touched on, because a lot of the men and women that I knew in the 90s that was opening up the door for this in the Black community, opening up the gay community, they had some sexual trauma, especially the men. And I know there was a study done that it's harder for Black men to recover from any type of same-sex trauma that they've experienced than it is for women. But we're not talking about that. But the first person that I met in high school in the 90s that was opening up the door this way, he got touched on and was like, well, I just thought this is the way I was supposed to be because it felt good. But he was a child. So, of course, it's going to feel good because these parts are made to feel good.
And you got to rationalize it, too, when you that young.
So, there's a lot of things that happen to him, and he goes by a different name now. He's transitioned to becoming find the word because I couldn't find it. Yes. But I know his story.
Yes.
So all the people that I was meeting, even family that was going through this, I had knew that they had sexual trauma in the beginning of their childhood that pushed this. Okay, this is okay. I can make this other way okay. Even though I may not be okay with it, even though it's other things that I'm running from, I'm buried inside. But there was some trauma, sexual trauma that happened, even for my own self, that shaped my sexuality and how I express my sexual energy with the world. Trauma happened to me and told me that certain things is okay that I indulged in. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when you are expressing to your children or having conversation with your children, and it's something that you deem taboo or something that you're not comfortable with as a parent, you probably may want to ask them, like, see if there's somebody that introduced something to them sexually. Because again, what's the point of having a conversation if you don't know all the people? So
I'm glad you were the one to bring this topic to Good Friday. It's just, I mean, that's my brother, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff I ain't gonna talk to him about, you know.
Right.
But to have that female perspective, I'm glad that we do have that female energy on the show, so that way we can talk about these things, and it doesn't seem like, you know, we're beating up on women, and we can have healthy dialogue.
We gotta say this every
about
week.
it.
I love it. I love how we have to, because we are breaking the mold from this troubled mind that we've been carrying around.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, next week again,
I'm gonna be
the
in
homegirl
Ghana.
is gonna be in Ghana.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, I've been working this voice pause for the past 2 days, and I feel my voice going out. But I'm supposed to be at CJ's singing this Sunday, so hopefully I'm gonna drink a lot of tea, and we'll
Get back to it.
I won't be singing tonight though, because I do have to preserve my voice for Sunday. So, but please still come out to CJ's, because we do have a great time there as well. What you got going on this weekend?
Taking the kids apple picking.
Hey, you going to Lincoln Farm?
Yeah, I
You're
love
supposed to go
that.
on Saturday.
And just resting. I'm in my resting season, so I'm chilling.
Hey,
We thank you for the listeners. Adrian has been on the check-in. Autumn has been there.
Hey,
Man, Kevin Stringer was on. Okay. Man, yeah.
Hey, and I wanna end off too and add to Walisha's point as well. The healing journey is so important because it's an ongoing journey. You know what I mean? And the people who have learned how to use magic to take that toxic energy and repurpose it in your life, that's still not the end all be all. You know, that's why we still bring up people like D-Ray, because he's like, I wish the success would have made what happened to me feel better, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. They stole a part of my innocence, and I have to live with that forever. So it's just, to me, what helps me deal with those situations is helping other people preserve their innocence. Sometimes, you know, our journey is complete in that facet, but we can't always help other people on that same path.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
definitely.
love that. I love that. That's right on point. And I just would just end with, again, I'm thankful to be here at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Helping great people. We used to say this thing back in the day, being at the right place at the right time, and people ready to help me as I am also in turn helping them.
Yeah,
So for
absolutely.
me, this is full circle to be able to have these conversations to help my mental, and then also to help other people understand that we ain't created perfect. This is stuff that we have to actually work at, and there is no need in us picking at the past not to heal or to move forward. Like I understand, I embrace my past because it made me the person I am. It made me understand I could sit next to somebody and know that they are a child molester because of what I've been through, the energy alone, right? And now I've been able to tell other people, yo, you need to check. I want to check what's going on because your child is a little bit free in the private department area. And that's a quick sign that somebody has introduced something to them, because children ain't thinking that. They want to go outside and play. They want ice cream. They want to ride a bike. They want to ride on your leg, but they're not thinking this energy that's introduced.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if it's way before the time. So I just leave y'all with that. And honey, I appreciate y'all for being here, showing up for my homeboy. And thank y'all for all the love and energy for my trip to Ghana.
Hey.
Thank the Ohio Media School that has given us this room, this platform to continue to do what we do now. We was going to do it from the car anyway, but the very fact that we got the mission was still going to
be all in the studio.
Absolutely. The mission was going to happen anyway, but now that we see the mission evolving, man, we thank the Ohio Media School, the Underground Columbus Network, and everybody, Walisha graduating and becoming a part of this. We really appreciate you. Yes, Underground Columbus. So this is where we are broadcasting live from each and every single Friday. Now, once Walisha gets back, we probably gonna have to give her a whole hour just to talk about all of her.
We're gonna want to hear about it
and everything like that. But for the next 2 weeks, you got me and Tim. Now, if you do want to be a guest for next week while Walisha is out, please let me and Tim know if you have a idea of who would be a good guest for the next 2 weeks. And please let me and Tim know. And then if you also want to be a sponsor, we are shouting out sponsors. Starting the entry, just $25 per episode. We will shout your business out. We will give you a whole commercial and description for about 30 seconds to a minute. So if you want your personal business being shouted out, we are dropping a special, only $25.
And I can help make your commercial, so let me know.
Absolutely.
Hey.
So get at us, man. But other than that, have a great weekend. God loves you. We do too. We are out of here, please. So.
Oh, look at you. How'd you do that?
How'd you do the balloon?
I have no idea.